So hopefully you'll do that for me one day. Huh?
That's up to the individual council member if they want to do that.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, we'll begin the Planning Committee meeting of Akron City Council. I'd like to request a roll call, please.
Fusco,
Aye.
Kamer, Connor, Boys,
Aye.
and Hannah.
Aye.
All committee members are present except for Councilman Kamer.
Thank you. With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, very good. Thank you. In terms of the old agenda, we have quite a few items on there with time on them that we will take. I'd like to request that we discuss, I'm not sure where it's at. Excuse me. Okay. Superior Avenue.
That's item number 1, Mr. Chair.
I thank you. Item number 1, Superior Avenue. Yes, I know a number of council members checked it out, went out and viewed it. Council Representative McKittrick and I took a look, and I know others had had conversations, spoke to the ward council person, Margot Somerville. I don't know if you have any comments or not, President Somerville, on this one.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Definitely just asking for support. I'm glad to the members that went out to take a look. Superior right there, a lot of heavy traffic, a lot of speeding, and it has caused those residents quite some issues. And I do believe that, just approving this circular driveway for this one individual is going to help him and his elderly mother tremendously. So I just want to thank council for support and asking for consideration on tonight.
Thank you. And I believe that all of us almost half tempted to bring in a resolution asking for the traffic engineer to look at that stretch of street between the expressway system there and Vern Odom, because it's appalling that it's so bad there. It's just amazing. As I mentioned, Representative McKittrick and I checked it out, and just standing there, he said, "Yeah, just stand right here and watch the traffic." It was like it was like watching some kind of a race or something. I don't know. It was amazing how quickly the cars drive up and down there. So I would implore, I see the planning director here, I see Nanette Pitt here, to go to the traffic engineer and please ask them to put in some traffic measures that will make it safer for the people in that neighborhood, let alone motorists. I think that's, and I request, we're gonna follow up on this. I think we should. It's so dangerous. It's amazing. And to have this gentleman have to back up into traffic is just thank goodness that him and his mother are okay. So I'm going to recommend approval on this. Is there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I went out and I looked at the location also, and you're right, the traffic is real heavy on that street, and for him to be backing out is very, very dangerous. So I would suggest that speed traps or whatever you could do in order to make that stretch a safe stretch, I would suggest that that happens.
Thank you. Further questions or comments? Okay, not seeing any. Yes, Mr. McKittrick.
Thanks, Chair. Standing in the front yard when the traffic was coming, because it comes up over a hill rise, and then after that, there's immediately a left-hand curve there. And because of that, I looked, the telephone pole that's right in front of this petitioner's house is a brand-new pole because it was taken out recently. The fire hydrant that's nearby is a brand-new fire hydrant because it's been taken out recently. So some signs, arrow signs, maybe a flashing light on the pole or something, I don't know. But I think Mr. Fusco's spot on that there should be some measures there to try to make it a little more safer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Okay, very good. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor of item number 1 with suspension of the rules signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, very good. The ayes have it. With that, I'll recommend this evening that we take time on 2 through and including, file 2 through and including 6, as those are petitions that we had voted on. And then short of that, recommend time on the balance of the agenda, short of any concerns or questions. And we'll move into the new list of legislation. Clerk Viviano, could you please read in item number 6? Thanks.
Item number 6 is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a dual-use cannabis dispensary at 46 South Summit Street and declaring an emergency.
Guessing this is refer and advertise for a public hearing. Item number 7.
Item number 7 is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct a storage building at 123 East Waterloo Road and declaring an emergency.
Refer and advertise for a public hearing.
Item number 8 is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to retain a fence at 217 Acres Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Refer and advertise for a public hearing.
Item number 9 is an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a dual-use cannabis cultivation facility at 1076 Home Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Refer and advertise for a public hearing.
Item number 10 is an ordinance accepting a dedication plat for Nafee Boulevard and Patrick Way and a partial vacation plat for Nafee Boulevard and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Mr. Antonucci.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. This would accept a vacation plat and dedication plat for streets, Nafee Boulevard and Patrick Way, within the White Pond Reserve development. This was conditionally approved by council, and so this is the stage where this is actually the first stage in dedicating those streets in that development. And we request consent agenda.
Thank you, sir. What's, you had mentioned the first stage. What's the next stages for some of?
Well, there would be an extension of streets further into the development. So this is the partial first phase dedication plat.
Okay, very good. Any questions or concerns from anyone? Anyone? Is there a recommendation for consent agenda on item number 10? I'll make that motion. Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Very good. The ayes have it. Item number 11, please.
Item number 11 is an ordinance accepting a vacation plat for a portion of Ravine Street between West North Street and Tarbell Street and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Yeah, this would authorize vacation of a portion of Ravine Street. It's between Tarbell and West North Streets. Ravine Street is a paper street, so you don't know that there's a street there. It's essentially a driveway. The neighboring property owner, it's a drive for the neighboring property owner, James Leslie of Williams Hardwood Flooring, currently has a license agreement to use this portion of the unimproved street for access to the business at 201 West North Street. The vacation would allow permanent access. However, a dedicated utility right-of-way would be needed because there are utilities in there, and we ask for a consent agenda.
Questions or comments? Any concerns from anyone? Consent agenda is okay, you say?
Yes, sir.
Is there a recommendation for consent agenda? Second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. The ayes have it. The only thing referencing that one, and didn't want to hold it up, but is the topography is really challenging there. You had mentioned there's some utilities underneath that we're going to have agreements on. like I said, the topography is really challenging.
Well, yeah, really, you wouldn't know there's a street. It's really just a driveway for the business.
Right,
at this
yeah,
point.
yeah, but the water and the drainage and so on and so forth, so I think,
Yes, there are utilities in there, so,
okay, but water,
yes.
yeah, water's a concern. Okay, next item?
Item number 12 is an ordinance accepting a vacation plat for Bloom Court in a portion of an unnamed alley east of Bloom Court and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Antonucci?
Oh, yes, this was a request of the Fifth Ward council person to investigate this vacation. It's gone through Planning Commission, and this would accept the plat for the vacation of Bloom Court in a portion of an unnamed alley to the east. Bloom Court is currently paved while the unnamed alley is not improved in any manner. Neither is necessary for a municipal purpose. Summa Health System currently has a fenced parking lot to the west of Bloom Court. And the hospital recently acquired 5 parcels east of Bloom Court and now owns all land adjacent to the proposed vacation. Vacation would enable Summa to assemble the land in a consolidated parcel for future parking lot expansion. The parking lot expansion would require Board of Zoning Appeals approval at that time, but we have not received final plans for that or the request, and we ask for consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Mr.
Thank you.
Attorney Hannah?
I did go out and look at that parcel, and I agree that they should have the authority to expand, because that street was a very small street and there was very minimum amount of traffic going up and down that street.
Thank you. Further questions or comments? Is there a recommendation on consent agenda? So moved. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against? Aye. Very good. It carries 13.
Item number 13 is a resolution approving and confirming the appointment by Mayor Malik of Valerie Moss to the vacant commercial or industrial building appeals board for a term ending of 3 years and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Linda Pitt.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and committee members. The mayor requests to appoint Ms. Valerie Moss to the board. She is a retired MRDD facility worker of 25 years, has lived in our city for many decades and is a ward member of Mr. Hanna's Ward 5, and is really interested in helping the community, is very invested in issues around housing. She has already shown her commitment to the city, serving on our Housing Appeals Board briefly, and so is now moving over with this request to this board.
Questions or comments?
Thank you,
Hannah?
Mr. Chair. I would like to say that I think this is an excellent appointment. She is a part of Ward 5, and that's one good thing that coming out of Ward 5. Thank you so much. And I did recommend her for the housing, and now she's moving up to the commercial industrial building appeal board. So I agree 100% and recommend her.
Very good. Thank you. Further questions or comments? Is there a time frame on this?
Consent agenda would be fine for this, given the meeting schedule.
Okay. Is there a recommendation for consent agenda?
So second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Against? Okay, ayes have it. 14.
Item number 14 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to apply for and, if awarded, accept and expend the State of Ohio capital budget one-time strategic community investment grant and declaring an emergency.
Okay. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. The City of Akron applied for funding through the State of Ohio's one-time strategic fund, which is typically we hear every couple years about the capital budget, but this was a new pot of money. The City of Akron did apply for $5.5 million and did receive that money later in the summer. And so through the administrative process, we have recently been told that we have been awarded the funding and also have received the funding. And this money is going towards the Cascade parking garage and infrastructure improvements at Cascade Plaza.
Very good. Is there any questions or comments from anyone? This is $5 million, you say?
Yep.
Very good. So I'm guessing the 900, it looks like there's a bit of a gap. 900,000 from us, is that accurate? And so I'm just reading the back.
We had 900, my understanding is we had $900,000 of repairs to Cascade already in the capital budget for this year.
Okay,
So, yeah.
good. But it's coming from us, right?
Yeah,
That's the
correct.
question. Thank you. Further questions or comments from anyone? Is there a rush on this?
Consent agenda is fine.
Consent's good for everybody. Okay, good. Is there a recommendation for consent agenda? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Very good. Against? The ayes have it. Very good. Thank you. Item number 15, I believe.
Item number 15 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts with the Greater Akron Chamber Foundation to provide matching funds for the State of Ohio Innovation Hub Grant Program and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Susie Graham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Good afternoon. The Greater Akron the Greater Akron Chamber Foundation, in partnership with a cross-sector team of industry, nonprofit, academic, and governmental partners, pursued support from the Ohio Department of Development for our Polymer Innovation Hub Award, to which the city had agreed to support of $500,000 over 3 years as part of our local match. In late August, and with very short notice, we were told that they would like to make an award to us, but that award was going to be limited by the amount of match, which we had already committed, which left the project about $4.5 million short of its desired goal. In order to access the full grant of $31.25 million from the state, the city is requesting legislation to support a match of $750,000, the first $200,000 which would be paid in 2024, and the remaining $550,000 which would be split between years 2025, 26, and 27. Or when the full balance of the $750,000 would be completely paid, whichever would come first. The city's contribution is part of a $10.4 million local match to secure this grant to help fund the Greater Akron Polymer Innovation Hub project, which is being led by the Polymer Industry Cluster through the Greater Akron Chamber of Commerce, and which we, as the City of Akron, have a seat on the Polymer Industry Cluster Leadership Committee. One portion of the larger Greater Akron Polymer Innovation Hub project is the creation and construction of a new polymer pilot plant in Akron that will facilitate the scaling, testing, and prototyping of new materials. That plant and any jobs resulting from the same would be located within the jurisdictional boundaries of the City of Akron. And this valuable state support complements our designation as a sustainable polymer tech hub. We are only one of 12 national tech hubs, and we're tied among the regions with the highest grant award from the federal government of $51 million. And so the combined total of investment between the federal government, the local government, and then here our local match is nearly $100 million that has come into the polymer industry cluster, and we look forward to great innovation and outcomes from that investment. And joining me here today is Steve Millard, the president of the Greater Akron Chamber, and he is here to provide additional comments and answer any questions that you may have.
Yes, welcome, Steve Millard. Good to see you.
Thank you, Councilman. So again, I just wanted to say thank you for the ongoing support that the City of Akron has brought to this work ever since its inception back in really 2019, 2020 as we got started. As you know, the City of Akron was a key leader and a key part of the convening of the Elevate Akron strategies for the region, and the polymer cluster was sort of an idea born out of that. Over the last 3 or 4 years, the city support has been an amazing sort of continuous resource for us in terms of not only resources financially, but also the time of leaders from the city being engaged in the work. And so we're really pleased to be able to bring to the community this $100 million of investment in total to take our polymer industry to the next level. And the support for the facility is critical. As the director said, we found ourselves in a situation where the city or the state came to us with a potential award, but wanted us to sort of further demonstrate additional match to achieve that award. And so the agreement of the city to increase its support by $250,000 is a really big part of us getting to that final match to unlock those dollars from the state. Happy to take any questions about the project. I know you've seen information about it, but we're very excited. We've got great industry collaboration, and in fact, today, the federal government is in town doing visits with some of our project leaders and other parts of our polymer cluster. So there's a lot of excitement about this.
It's fantastic. Good to hear. So good to hear. The one of the questions is in terms of the competition, I guess. We're looking at a $100 million project, possibly, totally, correct?
Correct.
The competition, where's the competition at? Is it in Ohio? This is federal, it's federal funds, I know.
Sure. So we competed against about 400 other communities for the federal award, and at the state level, we advocated along with some others from the Metro Chamber community for creation of a new $125 million line item in the Ohio budget focused on innovation hubs. And so the innovation hub dollars for the award in question here is coming from that line of innovation funding at the state. We competed with other areas of the state of Ohio for this award, and we're one of 3 that have been awarded so far.
Oh, okay, good. Where are they located at?
They looked at, I believe there were about 9 applications from other sort of mid-sized cities and communities around, everybody as close as sort of the Alliance area down to the typical metropolitan areas like Youngstown, Toledo, Dayton, et cetera.
Good, good. Are they polymer focused?
No, they were on different areas. So Toledo is focused on glass, Youngstown's focused on batteries, Dayton is focused on sort of some work they're doing around military and aerospace applications.
Gotcha. So who do you see as our competition, I guess, at least federally on the national level on the polymer piece? I know down south, I believe that there's a polymer valley type thing south of us here. Where else?
Sure. I mean, big areas, the Gulf, North Carolina.
Yeah.
There's some clusters in, kind of, there's some universities like in the Boston area that are kind of focused in this, but I think nationally we have such a great advantage because of the University of Akron and the work that they do here, as well as this innovation hub, this place where we're going to do the scale-up facility. There really isn't a place in the Great Lakes area or beyond that does this kind of work. So we see ourselves being able to draw entrepreneurs and innovators who want to take their ideas to scale to this region to do that work alongside of some of our large companies here that are part of it. It's a dream, right, to be able to test your products alongside of a Goodyear or a Bridgestone or a Synthema or other large companies that can then use the product. So I think that's going to give us a great advantage.
No, and the thing of it is, I think about Akron, the Akron area, the Northeast Ohio, even for that fact, is that we all work well together. I think that's the book on Northeast Ohio, especially here in Summit County and Akron area, that we cooperate, we develop a goal, and then everyone comes together, the private, the public sectors come together and make things happen, especially on the economic development side of things.
Absolutely.
And we've had that reputation, I think, for some time. So thank you for all your effort, all your leadership on this. It's so important moving forward into the future in the university and what they've brought to the table. This is good news.
Thank you again for the collaboration and the support. We appreciate the work that all of you and the city has done in this effort.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions or comments from anyone on this? None? Suspension of the rules, I assume?
Consent agenda would be fine as well.
Suspension of the rules, I assume?
Suspension of the rules. Super.
Thank you. Is there a second for suspension of the rules? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Thank you. The ayes have it. Item number 16.
Item number 16 is an ordinance amending and/or supplementing Title 15 Land Usage, Chapter 154, Vacant Commercial or Industrial Buildings, Section 154.10, Vacant Building Maintenance Standards of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Akron and declaring an emergency.
Deb Matz, Department of Law. I will tell you that item 16 and item 17 are kind of related, all right? Yep. So item 15, which is related to the vacant building maintenance standards, is pretty much a tightening up of the requirements for owners of vacant buildings. The reason that we feel like it has to be tightened up is because vacant buildings can pose a serious hazard to the community. If they aren't properly maintained, there's a risk that, for example, if the facade isn't maintained, the facade could collapse. We've had that happen. And so we wanted to tighten up those standards. And then if you go to piece 17, which Sarah has not yet read, it talks about changing the superintendent of building maintenance standards, superintendent of building inspection requirements to kind of loosen those up. Currently, they require that that person be an actual engineer. Got to be real honest, engineers are kind of hard to find these days, and it doesn't require that that job be done by an engineer. It can be done with somebody with code enforcement experience, building experience. And so we want to lighten up those standards so that we have somebody with the retirement of Brad Beckert who can go out and help us not only on the regular building code side, which is the 190 piece, but also on the vacant building side, inspect, work with the fire chief if there is an emergent need. So that's kind of how these two pieces relate. Sorry, Sarah, I jumped the line on that one.
Thank you.
And I'm asking for suspension of the rules on both those pieces.
For what reason again?
So we don't currently have anybody to do this work. Brad Beckert retired, I think at the end of August or September. And so fortunately, we haven't had the need for anybody to go out with the fire chief to do a demolition order to inspect one of these types of buildings. It's just a matter of time. So I look at it as an emergent need.
Okay. There might be a problem. Is consent agenda okay on this?
If that's what you really want.
Well, if there's a compelling reason, I mean, he's been retired for some time. I get it. We should move as quickly as possible, but these are significant changes, I think, in terms of the way we do business, so I would...
Consent agenda would be fine.
I would request that at this time. But I'd open it up for questions, though, first. Questions or comments from anyone? So the vacant building maintenance standards is what we're changing here, I see.
Yes.
Can we kind of talk a little bit about those?
Sure.
In terms of, it seemed as though it just refers to section 190.602 of the code. Now we're defining it a little more in terms of exactly what that means and what that is. And I think all of our aim, everyone's aiming for the same thing, and that's safer buildings, those that are vacant, correct?
Yes.
So, you don't want to expound on this at all?
Well,
I was asking
mean,
for a little explanation.
like I said, it just means that we're trying to tighten up the standards so that it makes it clear. If somebody owns a vacant building, they aren't necessarily going to go to Chapter 190 and look, because we have a specific title and specific chapter that says vacant commercial or industrial buildings. So it makes it explicit in those circumstances when you're dealing with that kind of building, exactly what it is that you need to do as the owner of a vacant building to maintain that building and keep it safe.
Gotcha. So, yeah, so example, and I see a couple folks came forward.
I was going to say, and I
Anything to
hope
offer?
step on anything that
Go ahead.
Law Director Matt says, but I don't think it's changing any standards on what is a vacant, dilapidated, a building that needs to come down. It's just we do not currently have someone on the staff that is qualified to make those judgment calls. And that's really the intent of this, is that we're able to move efficiently. I mean, you guys get the calls when a building
do.
goes like that. Yeah.
That's why we want to take time.
Okay. So
That's all.
yeah. But I mean, it's
We're
not
the ones who
changing.
make the phone calls.
It's not changing like the standards. It's just changing who is the one to write that final order.
But it looks like you're changing the standards.
Is it?
I mean,
Well,
short of 190 in front of us, but...
Right. So that's what I was about to say. So Chapter 190 includes those standards. We're not really changing them. We're just saying, okay, that applies to a regular building, It ought to apply to a vacant building equally. And let's make it explicit. Let's make it easy for somebody who has one of those buildings to understand what exactly it is that they have to do.
Gotcha.
That's the key.
Very good. Further questions or comments from anyone here?
I do. Would that
Jenny, yeah.
apply to the vacant school buildings that were sold and they were turned into commercial buildings?
Yes.
Great.
Very good. Further questions or comments? I'd like to ask all council members to please look it over, make sure that they're comfortable with this. And
Happy to answer any questions anybody has. Just please give me a holler.
all right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'd like a motion to refer this item. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Against? Thank you. Item number 17.
Item number 17 is an ordinance amending and/or supplementing Title 19 Building Code, Chapter 190, General Provisions, Section 190.102, Superintendent of Building Inspection, and 190.106, Right of Entry of the codified ordinances of the City of Akron and declaring an emergency.
And I'm still here just
Same.
in case, but same, if consent agenda is fine.
Okay, very good. And this is just simply naming, just serve as a director, 5 years experience in construction management, construction design, or code enforcement.
Yes. And it also indicates that the Director of Public Service or their designee can have the authority to enforce these code sections, because it could take some time to find the person who's going to fill that role. So now the Director of Public Service can do it. The Director of Public Service can designate somebody else, for example, like Assistant Director Lash could be instructed to do it. But if there is an emergent need, example, one of the school buildings hasn't been properly maintained, it's vacant, it's abandoned, it's a risk to public safety, they can issue a demo order.
Are we seeing the possibility of a new person filling this spot, or
Ultimately,
we're
yes.
not going to?
Yeah, I think ultimately they're
That's
planning
what
on
I'm
filling
getting
it.
to. Yeah, we
Yes.
probably need somebody who has the experience that we're speaking, especially on the 5 years experience in construction management, construction design, code enforcement. I know in terms of code enforcement, we probably don't have too many people roaming these halls. I know that they've been on Talmadge Avenue. So that's part of the concern there too.
Yeah.
But this one here is, I get it on this one, totally 100%, and I think it makes a lot of sense. But you're okay on consent. If we pass this one, it really wouldn't make a difference, would it? I mean, in terms of this would just go ahead and take effect as soon as possible. So
Yes.
I'm good with this one.
To suspend the rules?
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Questions, any further questions or comments on this? Especially given the promise that we're going to have somebody. That's important.
They're actively looking.
Good. Okay. Is there a recommendation for suspension of the rules?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Thank you. The ayes have it. With that, planning's adjourned. Thank you.
Our next committee today will be the Rules Committee, and it will begin at 2 o'clock. Those committee members are McKittrick, Fusco, Amobian, Connor, and Davis. Again, that's the Rules Committee, and it will begin at 2 o'clock. Thank you.